You are in the flow because from the moment you walk through the door, I could feel you have this vibrancy and this vitality in your energy that just makes me, first of all, gravitate towards you online. But for the first time meeting you in person, I'm just like, I want to do everything you're doing. Give me the gold because you have this energy that is, it's just more alive than most people walking around lifeless.
Well, Melissa, I just want to say you attracted me to you, right? So this is just like when we're operating the same vibration, things flow.
Oh, yes.
So we're like air meeting air, not oil and water.
No. And life gets so good when you are living in a flow state, doesn't it?
I know what it's like not to live in flow.
Same.
So I'm here. Thank you for having me. Like I've been waiting so patient. Dylan is so sweet.
So
She's like, maybe next year.
sorry.
No, she's so polite. She's so polite. We're done filming this season. Next year.
She's,
Right, Dylan?
she's cackling in the background. I'm so happy you're here. And
So
you don't
am
live
I.
in New York.
No. So I booked a little trip all around this. This is my anchor.
Well, I'm so honored that you are here and that you would even travel to be here. Honestly, that means so much to me.
I mean, if people want to talk about success, you have to take massive personal action and initiative. Right? It's so easy to look at like, oh my God, if I come to New York and I'm gone for more than 2 days, then I have to bring my wife, and then we're bringing the baby, and then the car seat and the stroller, and we fly commercial, and it's blah, blah. And it's like, oh no, this is going to be fun. So how do we make the most of this trip?
That's so beautiful. I feel like that is what you bring to everything that you do, which is so attractive about your life and your beliefs and your philosophy. And I know just from following you that you've had quite the evolution that brought you here.
Yeah. But that made me like, I'm the best ever now, like physically, mentally, spiritually, sexually, like every aspect of my life is the best ever in this moment, like today.
Why?
Well, for one, I have an incredible daughter. She's 18 months old, right? And like we get up in the morning, like I sleep in her princess sheets and she co-sleeps with my wife. So we have a phenomenal routine. So my wife puts the baby on the boob. They fall asleep together. She sneaks out around 7:30. Then, we read or talk, and then we lie down together at 9. And then as soon as the baby wants the boob, Savan goes and to leave, and then I don't see her again until 5:00, 5:30 in the morning. I hear, Daddy, Daddy. So then I come and I take our sweet Leaf away from my wife so she can sleep for 2 more hours.
Ooh.
And then we go soak in the hot spring and we play with her toys and, we sing nursery rhymes and we watch the sunrise. And then when she wants out, we go for a long walk. And then when she's hungry again, that's how we wake up my wife from her little rest sleep.
That's so special.
So that's our little like what an incredible life. No phone in the hot spring, obviously.
Right.
So we get this incredible quality time, and I see the nuance of her growing, and she sees everything, and it's amazing.
It's fascinating.
So that's one aspect of my life. That's
Right.
great. So I'd been eating healthy for 25 plus years. 5 years ago, like when I went really clean on Sprouts, like I looked at Sprouts my whole life from the Union Square Farmers Market. Like right here, I started to buy Sprouts and wheatgrass 30 years ago, right? So I'm 57 now. So 30 years ago. But I always treated them like a stepchild, like a garnish or a
Like,
side dish. It was like when they were available, like I ate them. And then when I moved to the desert and I'm living in my tent, like I'm living in the 13-foot diameter yurt and no plumbing, right? I'm living there. And I had a cooler filled with goodies from Air One. And when the cooler went to zero, I was like, no problem. I'll go on my iPhone and I like vegan near me, plant-based, health, nothing. And I realized for the first time I was having an existential food crisis. There was no food, no options. I had to drive an hour and a half down to Palm Springs to get to a Whole Foods. And I said I didn't move to nature to have to commute to the health food store. So that night, as I'm staring at the Milky Way and the dark sky and the other galaxies, they're twinkling. And I saw them, the constellations, as different sprouts: alfalfa, mung bean, radish, clover, broccoli, chia. And I got the download for my book literally came in one night.
were you
That
on psychedelics? No.
I've done psychedelics.
Okay. No, I was like,
I
I just like felt like I was there and there might have been something to assist
yeah,
the experience.
no, and that moment, what I was doing, I was asking the universe, how can I make this work? Because I bought the land, I had the hot springs, and I'm very, very high energy. Like it's really hard for me to like dial down. But when I'm in the hot spring, it's like being back in the womb. Like I'm
Mm.
fully immersed. And so I was relaxing and I'm asking the universe, how can I make this work? So looking for the solution. And then I got the solution for sprouts. And it was three parts. Number one, sprouts were vegetables. They weren't just a garnish, they were vegetables. And vegetables in my plant-based world are food. And number two, they were vitamins and minerals. And not just some vitamin and minerals, 20 to 100 times the concentration of mature vegetables. So they were better than regular vegetables. And number three, sprouts were medicine. And so I knew Brian Clement from Hippocrates. I studied Ann Wigmore. I knew about living foods. But again, they were like for a cleanse or for something I would add to the diet. And here I was looking at sprouts as medicine. So then I wrote the sprout book.
Right after.
Right after. Like I started to write the book, I came like literally down the block and I pitched one publisher, St. Martin's Press, like the sprout book. And she said, Doug, like sprouts are like a little niche, they're nothing. And I like unleashed on her like like I'm going to be calm here because you're just so angelical. But there, like I just went on and on because I was
Oh,
like,
I love it. Bring
I got
it.
I had one meeting and she's like, okay, like we will be the first major publisher that will write a book on sprouts. And the book became the number one best-selling vegan book, vegetarian book on Amazon, broke into the top 100 of all books on Amazon. And it's still like in print, it's in the 10th edition and it's still flowing. But I realized like a book was only one way. So I'm writing the book and then I met my wife, right? She came to Wonder Valley and basically didn't leave. Like she, like she just was like, wow, like this is paradise.
Were you set up? Like,
Well,
did someone say you have to meet Doug?
it wasn't like when Savan saw me, she said NFW.
What's
No fucking way.
I was like,
So
where am I?
like, I just wasn't her thing. We have a 22-year age gap. Like I was dirty.
I'm
Like
dying.
I like sand in my hair. Like I was unkempt. Like I was wanting to be a hermit. Like I just wanted to be like, I was just done with this New York, LA, San Francisco triangle. Like, I just want to be in nature. So I did a 10-day silent meditation, Vipassana, and I was just ready to just experience equanimity.
Mm.
And like when she came, first day was cold, second day she warmed up a little, by 4 or 5 days of being in the twilight zone, like no other people.
Was she in a tent?
No,
Look.
I put her in a house that we were renovating on an air mattress.
Okay.
She didn't
That's
she
an
didn't come
upgrade.
into my tent for like 4 days. On the fourth day, she came into the tent. But we had, we could talk, but we had, very clear boundaries about coming into the yurt. And so it worked out. So that's what my diet today
Go
is.
there.
Like, I eat sprouts, fruit, and seaweed, everything fresh. So no processed food, no added salts, oils, sugars, animal products. Like, I'm eating living foods and fruit. And like, someone wants to feel this way, just eat this way.
Do you feel satiated, and do you look forward to eating that? Like, does it feel boring, or do you feel like you're looking for things?
I love to eat, and I love my sprouts, and I love my fruit. And like, here's the thing, in nature, animals do not overeat. They just don't overeat. They eat until they're satiated. So if someone were to watch me eat, they would think like I'm a glutton. Like, I might have, if like organic sumu mandarin oranges are in season, I might eat 8 or 10 of them, right? Just eat them. And it seems like a lot, but it's mostly water. It has fiber. It has antioxidants. It's great. The certain sprouts have more crunchiness and proteins, and some are green, and some are yellow, and some are red. And so now, if you remove like the salt, oil, sugar, food coloring, preservatives, packaging, and in about 2 weeks, you generate new taste buds, you can start to taste the subtle nuance and the flavors in every different sprout. And then they make you feel good. So when I see the other stuff, it's like, I wouldn't eat this chair. It's a really nice chair, but like, I don't consider it food.
Right.
The other stuff is not, in my vocabulary, is not food anymore. There's zero temptation. Like, if I were to look at like Ben and Jerry's that I used to eat all the time, it's like, there's nothing. Like, I might smell like rosemary chicken in the street, and it might bring up a memory of when I was 16 years old and couldn't get enough and only had like one little piece. But like, there's no circumstance that would cause me to eat that.
How do you dress up the sprouts? So if you're having sprouts, like, what goes into it?
So great question.
I'm just like, I want to know everything.
So Jean-Georges, he made a beautiful recipe for me in the Sprout book, right? Where he did avocados and carrots and various herbs and seasonings that bring out the sprouts. So you can mix the sprouts. My go-to is I make my own sauerkraut, and that has a natural salt. I even did a sauerkraut where I made the salt from celery juice. So I juiced the celery, and I used that to as the activating sodium chloride to make the ferment. But if you make regular sauerkraut, or you buy a really raw sauerkraut, that with the sprouts, like it overpowers the sprouts, but then the sprouts have this great texture. So you can do that. And if you smash an avocado into it, that brings out more flavor. Tahini is a great go-to. Lemon will help, like the bitterness of the lemon as an acidulant will actually blend in very well with any of the spicy sprouts, the radish or the broccoli. And then you can make homemade marinara sauces. You could do, you could use balsamic. You could use any sauce that you would have on anything, and you're basically just replacing the vegetables or the carnage with the living sprouts.
So making them your base. Do you grow like lettuces or tomatoes? Like, are you growing other vegetables?
No,
No,
no.
just your
Yeah,
sprouts.
I'm growing alfalfa, broccoli, radish, lentils, garbanzo beans, and green peas, and like that's my basic of what I eat.
Okay. It's so interesting. I'm like just enthralled by it. And I love sprouts, but like you said, to me, it's been this add on. Like it's been a garnish. It's been more of like, oh, here, let me like throw some in and less of the focus. I feel like even knowing you were coming, I've been amping those babies up. And you
Yeah.
know what? I'm feeling damn good, I do have to say.
Well, I mean, I think it's very easy. Like one thing, when I'm eating like the way I used to eat when I was in New York or LA, it was expensive to eat. And one of the things that I felt bad for, because I really love everybody, I love all sentient beings, may all beings be happy, is part of the mantra in Vipassana. And I always felt that it was expensive to live the way I lived because organic was expensive, several dollars per pound. You couldn't buy any organic produce for under $3, $4 a pound, except sprouts.
Mm.
So you could buy the seeds inexpensively, add water, and they grow and just double in size every couple of days so that 2 or 3 tablespoons of seeds will give you a full jar of sprouts. So that becomes affordable for anyone. Under $1 a serving, you could have multiple handfuls of sprouts. So that like made me feel really good about food equality for everyone. So what I would say is the more sprouts you eat, you're going to have high quality movements and they feel good,
Very important.
right? Get things out.
Have to.
They feel good. And because they're mostly water-based and fiber-based, the fiber is the prebiotic. That's what feeds this trillion or 38 trillion living organisms that are in our gut, right? So the whole microbiome, if you ever read Fiber Fueled, and I can introduce you to Dr. Will Bolshevitz, who wrote Fiber Fueled.
Oh, great.
But he's my friend, my mentor in the area of the microbiome. He's a gastroenterologist.
Right.
So when you think about feeding the fiber, having the movement, and then the living enzymatically rich food, like the fact that a seed may look like a pebble, and when you add water, you activate it and it kind of explodes into life. It's called a shoot. Like it like shoots into life. And normally when you're eating a food, you're eating part of a food. With the sprout, you eat the root, the shoot, the endosperm, the embryo, the testa. You're eating all of this enzymatically active food that's structuring the water because it's absorbing the water in, it's taking in carbon, it's releasing oxygen. This is like a chemistry project that we get to eat every day. And my daughter, literally her first food was breast milk. Her second food were sprouts.
Wow.
And there was in utero flavor development. So because my wife was eating them during her pregnancy, like our baby eats sweet and sour and ferments and bland. Like there's no difference for her. She loves it all.
I'm so intrigued. I have so many questions. I want to make sure I ask them all because I feel like so many people are going to want to know this. I would love your take on, I would almost characterize it by society's strong focal point on protein, and you have to eat however many grams of protein per pound, and really just a lot of information that we hear from
the shills, the industry shills.
we hear it.
Yeah.
And it's loud, right?
Yeah.
So how do you respond, or what is your philosophy around and needing animal protein? I'm sure you have a lot to say.
Yeah. So for me, I could just tell you what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm 57. I'm going to be 58 years old. I did 100,000 push-ups last year.
Wow.
100,000, 274 average every day.
I mean, your picture that you posted on Instagram, shirtless, I was like, you know what? Like, it just goes to show, I do think we're just all so individual, but like this works so well for you.
Well, I have to say, every person that has sincerely opened their heart and wanted to listen,
Mm-hmm.
it's worked for. Right? If people and by the way, food is an addiction. Meat is an addiction. Like you bite into a piece of meat and you're taking in the collagen and the blood and the heme iron of.
Makes you rethink.
But what
No,
happens is you get a biological reaction. It's like you think about, they'll put down a dog once it tastes human blood because it triggers something in the brain. So like when we eat meat, when humans eat meat, something different happens. Like if you're, you look at a carnivore, right? They kill and then they sleep, right? And they can, that's their life. They spend most of their time resting, and then they go kill, and then they eat everything. Like the brains, the sexual organs, the anus, like they eat it all, the shit, like they eat it all. And then they have a very rapid digestive tract that's highly acidic that processes it, and they rest. So if I look at myself and I go, am I a carnivore, or am I like this peace-loving human? Like I don't see myself as a carnivore. I don't see myself killing. I was in the Army. I was a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne. Like I have the capacity to be aggressive, right? We all have that. But that's not who I see myself. From a perspective, I almost laugh at the question. Like, where do you get your protein from? It's like a laugh. I'm like,
I'm with you.
Are you working on your PhD in nutritional biochemistry? Like, why are you asking me that question? Like, do animals in nature, like, does a horse walk around saying, oh my God, that alfalfa hay doesn't have enough protein in it?
I know. This question always kind of gets me because when, I was plant-based for many years, like that is I can't even imagine how many times you get asked a day.
Yeah. So I think that we need amino acids, and amino acids form proteins. And it turns out that every single sprout contains every single amino acid to form complete proteins. So just biologically sound.
Yeah.
So if you need protein, yes. I think that society has kind of convinced us to look a certain way. And there's we see Pumping Iron and Schwarzenegger and Terminator and all of these figures that people want to aspire to, which has resulted in kind of two things. One, a anabolic steroid epidemic, which, a lot of people were mocking the Liver King, for his use of the steroids, or even Lance Armstrong, like pushing himself.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, coincidence that he had testicular cancer, from taking these toxins in. So people are pushing themselves beyond what's normal. So for me, I eat until I'm not hungry or I'm full, right? And I eat a lot of plants.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes, like, I don't think about breakfast, lunch, dinner. My wife loves the ritual of dinner. So
Mm-hmm.
we eat dinner together. Dinner to me could be just a bowl of sprouts, right? And she'll make like a 6-course meal.
What does she make? Is she vegan?
She's vegan. So she likes to make curry. I mean, she's breastfeeding. And so she's always eating, but
Mm-hmm.
she'll make curry. She'll make salads. She'll make like a sweet potato, banana bread. So
you don't eat it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Wow.
No, I look at it. I smell it.
You also don't want it.
I have no craving for it.
Right.
But what happens is when, and I can show you a picture, when she was pregnant, and she was really eating, like just because of her hormones affected my hormones. So I also looked like I was pregnant. So I gained weight while she was pregnant.
That happens.
And I was eating what she was eating. And like, it really took me off of my path for a little bit. And then I had back pain, and the pain was excruciating. And then I said, look, Savannah, I love you. I'm going back home. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm going back raw. I'm going back to sprouts and fruit. And so I did a little bit of a water fast. Then I went back to my sprouts and fruit. And like now I'm so like happy, in it. But she eats whatever she wants. And
great.
I just took her to lunch at ABCV, and I had some of the cucumbers on the crudité, and that was it.
Wow.
And she had the hummus, and she had all these beautiful dishes, but I just had the cucumbers.
That was one of my questions. When do you meet people for dinner? Do you?
All the time.
You do?
Absolutely.
You don't eat with them, or do you bring sprouts?
I went to the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C. with all the senators and congressmen and their families. And I brought in 2 brown paper bags. One was filled with sprouts and the other one was fruit. And I should have brought shopping bags, because while they were serving the filet mignon and the grilled salmon steak, everyone was looking at my dish. And like, I was generously sharing it, but people they wanted that. So I go out all the time to eat. I don't care. I don't tell other people what to do. Like, I look at people, they have their own agency, they can make their own decisions. And that way, if I tell other people what to do, I'll never get invited out. I'll never go anywhere, because then they'll think like I'm a militant.
Right.
Instead, I just want to be me. And the hardest thing I will tell you is when people think they're being thoughtful and they'll make a dish. And they're like, oh, I only put a little bit of feta cheese in it. Or, I only, put a little oil, or I grilled this. And I have to say, oh my God, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I'm just going to be drinking the water in this moment. Like, I feel really content. And then that's it.
Right.
And like, I don't feel guilty. I don't feel compelled to make excuses. And I change the topic, and, I'll look around the plate. I hope you guys are all enjoying what you're eating.
You can tell that there's no discomfort. Like, you're so unapologetically accepting of who you are. And what I really love about the way that you share your passion so far and wide is that it truly feels like you're not judging other people. Like, even the way I'm asking you things, like, it doesn't feel as if you're necessarily in the back of your mind with thoughts when people are eating other things around you.
No, I mean, the thing is, there's 7+ billion people in the world, right? If I try to control what everyone else does, I will drive myself crazy.
Mhm.
Like if you think about the president of the United States, and no one exemplified this more than Donald Trump, right? He was um, the most polarizing president. So we had people who loved him and people who hated him.
Mhm.
And it made me realize no matter how hard he tries or how much you hate him, like he's going to do his thing and people are going to like. So I'm never going to satisfy everyone. So what I want to do is I want to be my authentic self. I want to do my thing. And if people are interested, you know, th- then I'll share more. If they're not interested, so be it. Like,
Right.
let them do their thing.
Exactly. Oh, it's so liberating to just live in that space of no longer looking to other people's.
Well, that's how that's how you want to be. If you want to be unhappy,
Mm.
try to change other people.
Or care so much about what everyone's saying about you, right? I feel
Yeah.
like that was a shift for me going from like living in New York and then realizing, oh, wait, like people, oh, maybe some people are starting to recognize me. And then it's like, oh, and there's like hate pages about me. And then you're like, oh, well, I can read it or I can just be like, fuck it, and just keep
Yeah.
carrying on. It's really freeing.
Yeah. I think that it's a distraction and it's just the ego, right?
All
Just the
ego.
ego. So, for me, the decisions I make and like I change my decisions all the time.
Mhm.
Like I'm not, I'm fluid, right? So there are things that I like and I go through stages. But right now I feel so clear on doing what like I want to do. Like I really want to come do this podcast. Like I love you. I love your work. And, there's, I'm going to go see Chef Neil tomorrow from ABCV and I'm meeting other friends and I'm talking about sprouts and working on recipes. Like this is fun stuff.
So fun. And it like elevates you. You can just feel the lift and the elevation in your spirit. And 57 years young.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm training every day
I
for,
That's what I'd love to know a little
uh,
bit more about, like your
yeah.
practices.
Yeah.
Like what
My
a
practice.
yeah,
So I run 3 to 5 miles at a really slow pace
with these shoes on.
with
Show
these.
everyone your
Yeah.
shoes.
So I like the 5 fingers because they're like being barefoot, but I don't get
Grounding.
thorns. I don't
W-
get thorns or needles in New York.
And you use
All of your
the
tendons,
tendon.
all of your ligaments. This is like literally being barefoot. A normal running shoe to me is like being in a cast. It really like limits the movement and the padded heel. And there have been books written around barefoot running. If you have a padded heel, you end up like crashing your heel down and it sends vibrations all the way up through your back. So since the big shoe companies came out, there have been more injuries
Mm.
on running than before.
What do you think about heels?
Yeah. I mean, they look good on you, so I don't want to judge.
Probably not the best. I think
Yeah.
we all know that.
Well, I I would be walking around barefoot like all the time if I had the choice.
And you do at home.
I do at home. I'm getting used to it. Like we still have cacti,
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
so I protect myself a little bit.
That will limit things.
But I love being in the sand. I love being on the gravel. I love the rock.
It's
I love the
it's
soil.
it's earthing and grounding.
Yeah.
And it connects you, right? Like you literally feel. That's
Yeah.
probably one thing in New York that I do miss and why I love getting out. And I mean, sometimes, walking around the city, you can find a little patch of grass if you want to put your feet in there. So be it. You might get dog poop or something on your feet, but
Yeah.
it works when you get your feet in the soil or the earth or the sand or the sea.
And you got to have house plants. You should have, like they say, you should have one house plant for every 100 square feet.
Oh, wow. I don't, but
Improves air quality
okay.
naturally. So plants.
Okay. Not a faux plant
No, real plants, not a dust collecting
not a
faux plant.
olive tree like I just had installed.
It's okay. You could change your mind.
Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Yeah.
That you can change your mind at any point?
Identified mistake.
Ooh.
See, we all make mistakes. If you can identify the mistake, it's a success. And if you can take action to rectify it, even better.
That's how change happens. So you run.
So I run, and then I do 5 sets of 60 push-ups. So 300 push-ups.
Every day.
Every day. So that's how I get to the 100,000 a year.
That's strong.
I mean, I just got to do it. I don't like, I'll be really candid. I don't like doing it. Like, I lose my breath. Sometimes I have to go into a plank. Sometimes I'll go into downward dog. Sometimes I'm eking out the last few push-ups one at a time per set. But I feel so good when it's done.
Right.
And then I'll do 5 sun salutation A-B, Surya Namaskara A and Surya Namaskara B.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a full Ashtanga practice, but I stopped.
Why?
Just like life continued. And so I just limited, just so I can have some flexibility into my back. And then I do body weight squats. So 50, 100. So that's flexible on there. And now I just started to do pull-ups. So I can do pull-ups. I can do 10 pull-ups, those are chin-ups. I do 10
Over
chin-ups. Under is my chin-ups. So I can do 10 chin-ups.
Chin-ups.
And then I do 4 sets of 5 pull-ups, at least a few times a week. And I want to do handstands. That's my next like circus trick I want to do is handstands.
Isn't the power of using your own body weight so real?
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. And then, but the best thing like that helped my transformation was like eating super clean living foods. Like I'd been doing that workout and that routine, but the most impactful was having a practice of eating the clean way.
It catapults results and vitality. Food and nutrition is honestly, I think to me, they're all important, but it's like when I think about the things that are almost like my daily non-negotiables, like meditation, and just have to say, Doug was early. We were finishing a podcast, and amongst all the chaos, you just sat there and meditated. And it was so profound because I think so many people think and believe that they need this perfectly quiet spot and you can't hear anything. But I hear my thoughts, and it was just so nice to see you doing it because you can meditate anywhere.
Yeah, I was grateful that I had a few minutes to ground. And, the old Doug would have just been on the iPhone. Did someone like my post? Do I need to respond to a comment? Am I missing an email? And I was like, no, I don't want to be on the phone. I want to totally like tune in, and like it was perfect. But all these external things are just excuses the ego has to not meditate, to not take the time.
To not do the work.
Not do the work.
Right. We can convince ourselves.
Yeah.
It's so easy. Just like you said, it's not like you are jumping to do your movement practice every day, but you do it because you know how it affects your mood and how you feel after, right? And that's, I'm sure, what
Yeah.
keeps bringing you back.
Well, I just know if I didn't shower today, I would smell like yesterday. So yesterday's shower, yesterday's meditation, yesterday's exercise is like history. So I need to start today.
Yes, I love that. It's like, I always say too, I think a lot of people focus almost so heavily on the one thing, right? Like, it's a lot of why people will come to MWH to look a certain way. They want the workout. And I always try to just emphasize the importance of taking equal or greater time and to carve that out to strengthen your mind, to sit in silence, to be with your breath. Listen to one of my guided meditations, listen to anyone's, or just be and be challenged by the things and it all, right? It all comes up. Like, I don't know how long you've been meditating, but for me, it hasn't got any quieter in there. But what I've learned to do is redirect my focus on my breath.
Yeah. So I did my first Vipassana meditation in India in 2004. So 20 years ago in Tamil Nadu. And part of it was really annoying because it was half in uh, English and half in Hindi. And so, like, right when they were done giving the instructions, like, I wanted the piece. And instead, it was, this whole other language that was loud on a antiquated PA system in this very hot, it must have been 110, 120 degrees there. There were flies. I mean, it was a perfect opportunity. It smelled.
Oof.
So it was a perfect opportunity for me to go in. So I've been doing that practice for over 20 years.
I've never done Vipassana, but it's funny that we're talking about this because I've been wanting to do it actually ever since I sat down with a friend of mine who's had such a transformative life and story and has really evolved into an incredible human who was always there and was always, even the years I didn't know, I've heard was incredible. Chris Pacello, I'm giving you the biggest shout out right now because you deserve it. But he's the founder of Anatomy Gym in Miami. He owned clubs and was in hospitality for years. But I sat down with him. We were actually in Israel years ago, and he was explaining what happened and why he tells everyone about his experience at Vipassana. And I was so locked in, and I felt this like chilling response where it was like, this is something to experience.
Yeah.
And scheduled it once, unfortunately couldn't go because of a conflict. And I'm like right at this point right now where I've applied again. And I'm like, I might be out of the country, but I'm like, if it's meant to be, it will meant to be. It will be meant to be this time. And if not, we'll find another one. But tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, for one, it is the highest integrity organization that I've ever experienced in the entire world. So there are 45 centers around the world. It's a 10-day program. They provide plant-based food. They provide shelter. They provide curriculum. Do you know they charge for 10 days?
isn't it on a scale,
Well, it's free.
it's free, but then you donate.
Then you can donate
what you
whatever
can
you
donate.
want. But they won't even accept donations from someone who has not completed a 10-day course
Oh, I was going to say a sliding scale. And you can't do the 3-day
until after you do
until
it.
after you do the 10 days. So
Yeah.
I will do this.
Yeah. So for me, like, I've done things that have been free and I've done things that have been expensive. The fact that they just take you in
Mm.
and it's non-denominational, right? And it's the teachings of the Buddha passed on for 2,500 plus years, unchanged. Like, the basic teachings is that in life, we will all experience pain. Like we're all gonna, like I lost my mother to stomach cancer. My aunt, who was so sweet to me, had type 2 diabetes and they had to perform a double amputation of both of her feet. And then she died a year later. And then my father died of heart disease. And my brother has had 3 strokes, 2 heart attacks, in just suffering. Like there's pain around. I thought I've had my heart broken. I've had like relationships that people didn't fully see me. And so in the meditation, you learn, or in the teachings of the Buddha, non-Buddhism. So this isn't recruiting anyone to Buddhism. I'm not a Buddhist. Um, but the teachings of the Buddha is that we're all going to experience pain. We're all going to experience loss, right? We're all going to have cravings for this person or this shiny object. And the teaching is about equanimity, how you can learn to observe your cravings, what you're clinging to. Oh my God, I have to have this jacket. I have to have this. And what you are averting, doing this homework, doing this cleaning, doing this assignment. So if you're aware of your clingings, your cravings, and your aversions, and you can be present and just observe these things, observe your breath, observe these sensations, and you basically scan your body. And when you feel pain, like right now, I'm totally tuned into my body. I feel the balls of my feet on the carpet. I feel my leg crossed, resting on top of my knee. I feel my glutes sinking one part unevenly
Me too.
into this couch. And I'm really tempted to change my whole movement. I feel my glasses sliding on the brim of my nose. And I'm just observing
And I
all
feel
of it.
us locked in here.
Yes. It's the best
There's
ever.
a channel.
Yes.
Isn't
And
it amazing?
so just observing, and this feels good, but I'm not going to like cling here and like hang on to all day and not go back to the next chapter of my life. So I'm experiencing this. I'm loving this. And I know that we're going to transition into something else. So the meditation will teach you to know what's real, and what's real is your breath, right? Because you can observe your breath. You may be able to, I can do it sometimes, observe my heart and my pulse, but I'm not observing like the blood flowing through my veins. I'm not observing my body producing the liquid on my eyes, right? The new regeneration of healthy cells. Like all of this is happening automatically for us, but something that we can be in tune with is the breath.
It changes everything.
So,
And I think it brings life to you. So
yeah,
many people don't know how to breathe or
yeah.
are walking around
Well, I think you
in
do a lot.
survival.
You do a lot to get people into their breath and into their bodies. And all sorts of people in my life, follow your work or involved in different programs. Like I had a guy I hadn't seen in 25 years, came to Wonder Valley Hot Springs with his girlfriend. And she's like, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm going to New York. And she, what for? I was like, oh, I'm going to see Melissa Wood. Really? Oh my God, I love her. And then my wife has a client. She does spiritual abundance coaching, and her client is a real estate mogul here. And so she's on the phone with him, puts me on speaker. What are you doing? Oh, Doug's going on Melissa Wood. And his assistant is like, oh my God, I love Melissa Wood. And this is so all these various people. So I feel very at home. And you're teaching people how to get into their bodies.
Thank you so much for that. It's changed me. And I've been so fortunate to witness it change so many people around me. And with this beautiful connected community that is, I feel like, just being built in different directions and dimensions every day. And I feel as if when you connect to a passion that almost feels greater than you, that guides you.
Yeah.
And that is the flow, right? Instead of trying to force something to happen, which is what I did for the majority of my life before I really learned how to be with myself and be with my breath and be in stillness amongst the chaos, and to learn to bring the calm to my nervous system. No matter what was going on around me, is how I've been able to continue doing this and loving it for so long, because it truly gives me life. So,
Well, what you do, like from the outside, it looks like your life is just, picture perfect. But I can just observing this, the effort, the energy, the thoughtfulness in order to create that experience for your the people who are tuned in, it's just so much effort. And you don't have to do that. Like, you're choosing to give your energy and your love and your time to do it. And I see that. Like, this is a major, major effort for you to give. And thank you.
that's so sweet. Thank you. It is. It's so much effort.
I don't want to make
I
you
think,
cry,
no,
but it's good to cry.
it is. I cried before this too. And you know what? I used to tell myself, like, don't cry again. But I'm like, no, when I feel touched and when something like touches the depths of my soul, I am so in touch
Yeah.
with my emotions, and emotions are information for us. And I think for me, it's continues the path, right? Of
Yeah.
choosing to keep doing the work, even though this is all like, it's not effortless. Like when
Uh,
people are like, oh, it's so, I'm like, are you like, do you think I jump with joy to wake up at 5:45 because I'm like, this is the best? No, I choose to do that because of the effort that it takes for me to do all of this. I
yeah,
have to put so much effort into me.
that's right. Well, I think that's an inspiration. And, I remember reading the book, The Man Who Tapped the Secrets of the Universe. And in the book, it said, all men, or all men and women, have consummate genius within them. And some appear to have it more than others because of the awareness of it. And so when you become aware
Mm.
of your genius, of your magic, then you can create. So I love that you are aware of your genius, of your beauty, of your passion, and you're manifesting everything around it.
Thank you. And I am destined and determined to let everyone know that that's possible for everyone.
Like,
Every single person.
yeah, I mean, I look like, for me, like, I grew up in the New York City in the streets. I never went to college. I'd been arrested several times as a teenager.
Mm.
I joined the 82nd Airborne when I was 17 just to get out because all my friends were like degenerates.
Yeah.
Like, I just needed a way to get out. And the Army was tough.
Mm.
Like, they were not very nice to me in the Army, bossing me around. And I didn't like anyone telling me what to do. So it was really, really hard. And then I never went back to college. I was just a workaholic. Like, and I worked 3 jobs, bars, nightclubs, supermarkets. But there was something inside of me that said there was more. There was more. And it was the devastating loss of both of my parents and both of my aunts and uncles and grandparents. And then the first stroke of my brother that made me wake up and said, it's not about the money. It's not about working. Because I was working to self-medicate, right? It just was getting me, so I didn't have to observe my breath. I didn't have to do anything. I was just working. And it was just another form of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the travesty of all that loss kind of brought me inward. And that's when I made the decision, that I needed to change. So that's when, like in a 2-week window in 1999, I went cold cucumber and I gave up eating all the processed food. I was 36 pounds heavier than I am today. So today I'm 150. I was 186 then. And I gave up all the junk. And then I just began this whole new path. And like, I didn't even feel worthy of like, so like we'll talk about relationships. I was attracted to people that were unavailable and not attracted to me. And it was like a crazy, stupid, like circus loop. And then, it took years, right? 25 years of being on that path till I finally was like, you know what? No more chasing. No more, like the final straw. I went to Jared Leto's Christmas party in Hollywood Hills and, 300 people there. And I thought I was the invisible man because no one would talk to me. Everyone just wanted to go kiss Jared's ring. Like I was invisible. And I said, what am I doing here? And then I said, I'm going to go to the desert. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to soak in my hot springs. Maybe I'll paint. I painted the first picture, acrylic, first time in 30 years last Saturday. Felt great to paint again. And so I went to the desert. And then in the desert was my life born anew. I wrote the Sprout book. I met my wife. We had a home birth. I could still, write in the hot springs. It was just so magical. But I had to give up all this other madness. Like I remember being in LA and someone passes me in their Lamborghini and it's traffic and they're revving on the engine.
Oh gosh, that's the most annoying, obnoxious thing.
And I was like, yes, I see.
We see and hear you.
We see the Lamborghini. Now I have to hear you. And now I have to feel bad for the extra carbon emissions and the fossil fuel. But then I was like, oh, nice car. Nice car. I'm giving him exactly what he wants.
Just give him what he wants.
Hey, nice car. Can I go for a ride? Let's pull over. But that's it. So I really believe if everyone wants to like tap in, they can be so happy. They could be so abundant. They could find beautiful love and they can be healthy. It's real.
It's real and it's true and it's possible, but you have to want it.
And it will require a degree of uncomfortability.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do the uncomfortable things with equanimity and with love and with passion, like then it's easy. I feel like, when we're done, I'll do 60 push-ups for you. And you're going to see my effort. Like, we'll go into it. But I'm looking forward to it, even though I don't like it.
Right.
I don't like it. But I love it. And I love how I feel.
Right.
And I love how, like right now, I'm slinging around an 18-month-old. Like, I want to be here.
Right.
For as long as possible, to support her and her growth. And, we're talking about having another one now.
Wow.
So, you have to put some effort in.
You've got to put some effort in. People.
And Sprouts, like I want to go back to Sprout.
And can you show me after this, because I have your sprouting kit here and I'm just like get overwhelmed by can you just show me how easy it is after this? Just like a quick 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to sprout in the office.
100%.
And I'm going to make sprouts for everybody.
100%. And I just want to like shout out to Dylan. Okay. So you have a sprouting master here in the office. So we're going to have a little like love triangle. So she can,
She's on board, by the way. She's like already, I think she probably started sprouting at home.
yeah. So we'll show you how to sprout. But basically, seeds are like the future of life. So seeds are complete living organisms in a dormant state. And there are seeds that have been recorded for 1,000 years that will still germinate and sprout. So all plant life, which means all life on this planet, begins with a seed. And seeds have a natural preservative on them, right? So they have enzyme inhibitors, they've got phytic acid and lectins to protect the seed. But when you create the environment for them to sprout, which could be in the belly of a beast, could be in deep soil, or you could put them into a jar. And when you put them in the jar and you soak them in water, they are triggering this metabolic enzymatic process of germination, sprouting. So you soak the seeds overnight, you rinse out the extra water, you add new water, and then, the jar has a stand, so the extra water strains, and you just rinse them twice a day. And they will just create and they'll be the gift that just continues to give for you. And like I wrote in my book, in my hallucination.
Dylan read your book. I'm going to read your book next.
It
takes me a while to read. So
you could do it on Audible at
I need
2x
to do that.
speed.
Okay, I'll do that.
It's so funny. The publisher said, "No, Doug, we have to get a real actor to do the performance of your book." And I said, "I know, but it's really important. I'd love." So she goes, "You're going to have to audition for your book along with the other actors." So
did you get the job?
Of course I got the job. And then I went back to my regular voice and just did it at my own pace, my own speed. But I did a perfect audition. Like I prepared because it was important for me to do that. But you can listen to it on Audible.
Okay, I will. Preparation is so important.
So sprouts. So you can grow them in this office without soil, without sunshine, without fertilizer in days.
Okay.
And you're going to get, like, I lived on sprouts for 30 days, just as a science project with an audience of one, right? Just like, because I didn't want to drive in the car. I had hundreds of pounds of seeds and I was getting thousands of calories. I didn't overeat. I didn't undereat. I ate as much as I wanted. And like, lo and behold, I'm still here. And I feel like I'm smarter.
It's thriving.
Like I'm smarter. Like my brain is firing. My memory is improved. My energy, like just every aspect of my life has improved exponentially since I've been sprouting.
This man's energy literally vibrates. Like it's a vibrational frequency you feel being in your orbit. It's amazing. So sprouts are your supplement.
Yeah.
You don't supplement.
No.
Supplementation.
The only supplement, because I want to be in full integrity, and I don't know if I actually need this. I take a B12 sublingually probably once a week.
Okay.
But otherwise, I get all of my omega-3s from nori seaweed, has the EPA and DHA, and flax and chia have ALA, and my body, they say that the efficiency of the conversion of ALA to EPA and DHA is low. And I think that's low if your system is clogged. I think if you're on a very clean system and operating, you get a high degree. And I tested, and not paid, but I used the Omega Quant, and I've got perfect omega-3 levels. Perfect.
I don't doubt it.
So no supplement. And you can take a handful of like sprouted garbanzo beans, 250 calories and 20 grams of protein.
Wow. I love garbanzo beans, but I'm going to sprout them.
Yes, sprouted garbanzo. Sprouted garbanzo, the best way. I'm going on Ben Greenfield's podcast next Tuesday.
Amazing.
And I gave him, the book. He's sprouting broccoli. He's sprouting garbanzo beans. And like he's he's the furthest from a vegan, right?
Right.
But he loves his sprouts.
Which I love. You've inspired me so much to just really dive into
Yeah.
it.
Well, so like my mission is I want everyone to be aware of the sprouts. The sprouts do not have a voice. Like you haven't seen a Super Bowl ad for sprouts, no billboards for
No.
sprouts. There are no national or international sprouting companies. So, like there have been people before me, Ann Wigmore, Victoria Skavinskas, Dr. Brian Clement, Steve Meyerowitz. There were people that loved sprouts, but they didn't cross over.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't cross over, and they weren't New Yorkers. They didn't have my chutzpah. Like they just didn't cross over. So I just felt like I was going to take all of this work, all this energy, and sprouts have been around, the staple of diets for 6,000 years from the pharaohs. And like my mission is to make everyone aware of them and give them the opportunity to consume them.
Well, you have such an incredible life force that I'm so intrigued and just enamored by you and your lifestyle and just your enthusiasm for like life and living and being and doing things. It's really it's like intoxicating to be around, and it's just such a delight to be here with you and to have you here in New York. Thank you so much for traveling here to be with me. I don't take that lightly.
I would say if you were in China, I'd go to China.
Well, I'm coming to Joshua Tree. So
Yeah, you are so welcome.
I'm serious.
Yeah. Well, we would love to have you, and we will feed you sprout-based meals.
Done.
Originally, my wife said when we were dating, she goes, I could live in New York or San Francisco or LA. This would be a nice vacation place, but I don't know if I want to live here. And then when the pandemic hit, it looked like I was a prophet because we had abundance of everything. We're off the water grid. We have solar, and like we didn't have to leave. And, I just want to say this. This is the number one cause of death in America is heart disease, right? Which is almost entirely food related, not genetic. The number two cause of death is cancer, right? And cancer, both the cancers have to do with our mouth, right? So smoking is still the number one cause of cancer, right? People are still smoking, right?
I know.
And the number two cause of cancer is all kind of diet, lifestyle related. So we can totally, like just by what we eat, we can change like our destiny. And I see people and I just want to just hug them. I just want to hug them. I don't want to judge them because if you judge them, then you just create a barrier.
Right.
So you just want to love them. And, if I can whisper in their ear, hey, eat some sprouts. Eat some sprouts. So, I went to an event. Jesse Itzler had an event called Running Man. And I brought 20 pounds of sprouts. And I was walking around with tongs and I was handing out sprouts, and people were hungry out there. So they were eating them. And it was really like fun for me. So I'm going to be doing more events where I just hand out sprouts.
I love it. Yours just so, the joy that exudes from your cells is just, it's incredible. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom. And I feel enlightened, inspired, and super motivated by you.
Well, that's what you attracted, Melissa.
You're so sweet.
I'm here because you attracted me, so I'm here. And I want to just be my full self.
Oh, you brought it.
Yeah.
You brought it.
And I feel very seen.
Oh, good.
I feel very, very seen.
You fit in here. It's meant to be. It's home.
My co-working space when I'm in New York.
You can come anytime.
I almost brought the Homish buka, but I was like, I don't know how appropriate it is.
I have my sprouting kit. We'll get to work. That was amazing.